Hello, and thanks for joining us for another edition of Northwest Newsweek. I'm Mitchell Ringos. The township of Ignace is facing a crisis of democracy, as several recent council meetings have been canceled without explanation, and citizens there are worried about dysfunction among the mayor, councillors, and town staff. Lee Noonan reports.
Ignace OPP confirmed they were made aware of a situation at the local municipal office on March 10th, but that no charges were laid. They suggest the matter was a labor issue. There are 5 members of Ignace Council, including Mayor Bill Gascon, all elected in October when the previous council was all voted out. None have responded to requests for comment. Residents of Ignace say that with rumors and accusations flying in all directions and little official information available, they don't know what's going on at Town Hall, and they're losing confidence in their leaders.
There's so many stories out there and you don't know whether half of them are true or not.
There's no accountability. They all ran that, everything would be seen, and we don't have any idea what's going on.
Mom and Dad are fighting and disputing and can't get along. It affects the children. And so it's affecting us people.
I've been having actually sleep problems lately, like lots. And, I'm thinking of selling my house because, we're all questioning, we're crying for help here, actually, and nobody's coming.
They have to figure this one out, right? They have to build the confidence. They have to build the expertise within their own council. That's their job and that's their mandate. And I want to see them do that. I don't care who's sitting there. I just want to make sure that they do their job.
One thing that does seem clear is that Ignace Council is divided. A release issued by the township states that 3 councillors have, quote, stepped in and taken a stern position to protect and enforce their obligations to protect employees. No clarification has been offered as to what that position is or what may have motivated their actions, with the town clerk saying the township's lawyers have advised council and administration not to comment on the matter. Meanwhile, in a Facebook post, Mayor Gascon asserted that he does not believe all councillors are doing their due diligence so they can make proper decisions that are in the best interest of the residents of this community. In another post, the mayor refers to difficulties in getting enough councillors to attend meetings and concerns that important opportunities could be missed. The statement issued by council included a commitment to bringing together all 5 council members for training on their roles and responsibilities. There's no indication so far as to when that might take place. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Neskantaga First Nation leaders were recently ejected from the provincial legislature. They were removed after shouting their displeasure at Minister Greg Rickford for his comments about the involvement of First Nations in resource development and mining. Once again, here's Lee Noonan with more.
Leaders and about 80 community members from 5 Northwestern Ontario First Nations traveled to Queen's Park for this press conference to demand the province respect their rights to free, prior, and informed consent regarding any development on their territory. Outgoing Neskantaga Chief Wayne Munoz and Chief-elect Christopher Munoz say their people will stand against the Northern Road Link and any other development that would affect the Attawapiskat River without their say-so.
It's about the way of life of our people. It's the very existence of our people. It's who we are as Anishinaabe people. And that's why it's so important that our people should have a big say. They should be able to determine what's going to happen.
What do you say to a guy that wants to say, I'm going to bulldoze your territory without your permission, without your free, prior, and informed consent? What do you say to that?
To refrain from this outburst, or you'll be asked to leave.
They were removed following comments from Minister of Indigenous Affairs Greg Rickford, who was responding to a question from Kiiwetinoong MPP Saul Mamakwa.
Their children, their grandchildren will have to drink the water downstream from these mines. Will this government promise today to gain their agreement rather than bulldozing over their lands and waters?
That's what a provincial government does, Mr. Speaker. We create the platforms for these kinds of resource activities to advance responsibly and safely, at the same time creating new opportunities, real opportunities for isolated communities that their members are asking me for every single day, Mr. Speaker.
Rickford did not directly respond when asked by Mamakwa if the government would end the practice of free stake mining. Grassy Narrows First Nation Chief Rudy Turtle says he's seen a dramatic increase in the number of mining claims in his territory since 2019, and particularly over the past year.
Our position is very clear. We don't want mining and development in our land.
Representatives from Wapakika, Kitchener-Mekusip, Ininiwuk, and Muskrat Dam were also present, all with concerns about the encroachment of resource extraction on their territories. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Starting this Saturday, the Ford government will discontinue health coverage for those without an OHIP card. An OHIP card hasn't been required throughout much of the pandemic, and as Mike Lang reports, healthcare providers in the region strongly disagree with the change, fearing the worst for vulnerable populations.
So I think it's completely unreasonable to ask physicians to subsidize the health care of people in this province.
Dryden physician Stephen Viher-Yoki's concern could become a reality. He says that many of those who don't have OHIP cards either live in remote communities, are part of vulnerable populations, or are non-Ontario residents. With the province cutting off coverage to those people, Viher-Yoki fears that the only way they can receive the care they need is if healthcare practitioners provide it on their own accord.
Relying on the goodwill of physicians who feel they need to provide care is inappropriate, and really the province should step up here.
In more populated areas like Thunder Bay, health centers must accommodate an even greater volume of impoverished patients. Norwest CEO Juanita Lawson says it's not easy for those in unstable living conditions to apply for and hold on to a health card.
Those are things that I think many of us take for granted, but those are also things that many individuals struggle with obtaining, even though we think that accessing health care is fairly simple. It's not for many people.
Registered midwife Rebecca Hautala says it will cause those patients to further delay treatment, leading to worse health outcomes.
Not having comprehensive health care for everybody is just really not equitable, and it's not okay. They suffer because of the long-term outcomes of not receiving care early enough that we can actually provide interventions to improve their health care, and their overall health in general is going to just cost the person, the community and society and the healthcare system more money eventually.
We would want some reconsideration with regards to this decision and some time for communities to be prepared to take a look at where uninsured funding can be placed, to look at expanding team care models to again support people who need this care.
The policy to provide health care only to those insured with an OHIP card takes effect on Saturday. Mike Lang, TBT News.
The Trudeau Liberals released their 2023 budget, and the lone opposition member from the Northwest is weighing in on it. Kenora MP Eric Melillo says his Conservative Party will not be supporting the budget. He argues that government spending and tax increases are driving inflation. However, as the Shadow Minister for Fednor, he did note that funding is included for all federal and economic development agencies.
It remains to be seen what percentage of that would come our way, but that's something I'll be watching closely. Of course, I also did notice as well, as has been the case in previous years, that Lake of the Woods has been included in terms of a sustainability and restoration fund that the government is working on. So those are certainly positive things, but of course, overall, it does remain a very high tax, high spending budget that I really think is going to make life more unaffordable for people that are facing 40-year inflation highs right now.
Oral health advocates had a chance to meet with a Liberal MP to discuss how the federal budget is benefiting the dental sector. Patty Haidu visited a Thunder Bay dentist office to highlight her government's newly announced dental care benefits. Celios Bellos reports.
The Liberals' 2023 federal budget comes with it some significant investments into dental care across the nation. Included in that is $13 billion over 5 years and more than $4 billion ongoing to implement the Canadian Dental Care Plan. It will provide dental care for uninsured families making less than $90,000 annually, with the rollout beginning this year. Thunder Bay Superior North MP Patty Haidu sat down with some local oral health advocates to help them better understand how these federal dollars could benefit the patients they serve.
It's an exciting time because it means that oral health, dental care is going to be considered just as essential as all the other kinds of health care that is covered under our universal health care system. To make sure that the ability to pay is not the defining feature of whether or not you can afford a healthy smile.
Working in dental, we do work with people that we see daily with barriers to funding, and that does prevent them from seeking dental care.
The funding is meant to build on the Canadian Dental Care Plan introduced last year. That provides parents with direct, upfront tax-free payments to cover dental care for children under 12. Local dentist Dr. Derville Clark says this, along with the new funding in this year's budget, means they can catch patient health concerns before they become serious.
Often you have to treat it with crowns or implants or big fill-ins and so on and so forth. A lot of those problems can be prevented with simple preventative oral care. And this is what I think that program allows. It allows a child to visit the dentist twice a year and catch problems before they really manifest into something that becomes more expensive.
Vasilios Bellos, TVT News.
After the break, the Indigenous Law and Justice Institute at the Lakehead University Law School hosted a special event.